India to be a $55 trillion economy in 2047 when India turns 100. I'm sure many of you will find this goal audacious, but I'll hopefully in the next 10 minutes and then during questions I can convince you that this is achievable. Let me start with a couple of examples. Take Japan from 1970 to 1995. The Japanese economy in 1970 was $215 billion. By 1995, its economy had multiplied almost 25 times to $5.5 trillion, 25 times multiplication. Now, this was not a period where it was a honeymoon for the Japanese economy or the global economy. I'm sure many of us recall that the 70s were a period of war, the Vietnam War. There was also the oil shock and the hyperinflation that happened, the Volcker phenomenon, very high double-digit interest rates in the US, all of which had an impact on global demand as well. So the Japanese economy was able to grow 25 times during this period despite the challenges that inevitably came. Secondly, if we take the Chinese economy, from 1996 to 2021, another 25-year period, the Chinese economy grew 22 times. Our economy in 2023 was about $3.3 trillion. And so I'm projecting a much lower increase in the size of the Indian economy, about 15 times to 55 trillion. But let me take you through the economics that underlies why I think this is, a prediction that is indeed achievable. If you look at Japan from 1970 to 1995, that period, the Japanese yen appreciated almost 4 times, from 350 yen to the dollar in 1970 to 85 yen to the dollar. Now, I am not projecting anywhere close to an appreciation of the currency, certainly not 4 times appreciation of the rupee. What I am estimating, and if you get a chance to take a look at the book, as is my training, I have provided data and economic logic to back every estimation that I have, whether it is the growth that can happen in real terms, whether it is the depreciation of the currency, all of that is backed with data and evidence. After all, as a researcher, I've been trained in the Sherlock Holmes philosophy to never theorize before you have the data. So let me explain to you the economics behind this prediction. If we can grow in real terms at 8% from here on, and I'll spend some time explaining to you why I think that is a growth target that is ambitious, but it is achievable. If you look at the rate of inflation that has prevailed in India from 2016 onwards, and when we celebrate the centennial year, when we will write India's economic history, 2016 will be a very important year because that was the year India implemented its inflation targeting regime. Pre-2016, India's inflation was about 7.5%. Since 2016, up until March 2024 data, the average inflation has been precisely 5%. In other words, there has been a decline in inflation from 7.5% to 5%. And that is why I am going to take the estimate of inflation into the future as 5%. As you all know, the inflation targeting regime requires the central bank to target inflation at 4% plus minus 2%. In other words, in this band between 2% to 6%. So not only is 5% in the, in the higher number, it is also the case that the historical average inflation from 2016, when the inflation targeting regime was implemented, inflation has been 5%. So it's a very reasonable estimate, therefore, that the inflation going forward will be, will be 5%.